two thieves develop a terrifying pattern, combining bank robberies with home invasions and taking families of bank executives hostage. For years, federal agents track them, always one step behind. Even when they're caught, the robbers do not quit. An ingenious escape sends the fugitives on another crime spree, with the FBI once again on their trail.
Too often, convicted felons learn new techniques and find new partners in prison. In 1982, a group of former inmates began a spree of kidnapping and robbery. I'm Jim Kallstrom, former head of the FBI's New York office. For years, the suspects used false names and a network of criminal contacts to elude capture. To find them, the FBI had to pierce their tight-knit circle and find new partners of their own.
On December 28, 1982, Oklahoma City Bank Vice President Steve Thompson and his wife Ellen arrived home from a holiday party. Unexpectedly, a car pulled in behind them.
When they got out of the car and started entering our garage, they hollered, "Mr. Thompson, we're federal agents." They were on top of us, with just in a few seconds.
Ellen Thompson thought perhaps the men had the wrong house.
I couldn't think of any reason federal agents would be coming to our house, and I've heard of mistakes before, so I looked at him and said, "There must be some mistake here. Can I see your identification?" And he pulls out a gun.
The one with the obvious wig seemed to be the enforcer. The other one was in charge.
There was obviously one other male involved because somebody drove him to our house and that car left and we never saw that car again.
The two gunmen forced the couple inside. The leader began interrogating Thompson about the bank where he worked.
No.
He cooperated so the incident could end without anyone getting hurt.
No,
Thompson answered some questions about the bank's complex security system, but he knew the safety of his employees came first.
I didn't give him names of actual people that had combinations and stuff. I said, we'll just have to wait and see who gets there and who has the combinations and stuff, because I didn't want to put any individuals in jeopardy.
I see.
Hello.
A man called to speak with the gunman.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It sounded like they were finalizing plans for a robbery the next day.
Well, call me back at 6:30.
The leader warned Thompson to follow his orders exactly.
Okay.
He was trying to make a point with me, and he said, if anybody sets off the alarms tomorrow, if anything goes wrong and the police come, he said, I'm going to kill the police.
Tell me.
He made the comment at that point. He said, I'm not going back to the penitentiary.
The gunman held the couple hostage overnight. An hour before dawn, they forced the Thompsons to drive them to the bank.
Woman?
At 9 a.m., they waited for employees to arrive.
She's wearing a black dress, floral print.
They had someone stationed outside as a lookout.
She's coming in the front door.
During the robbery, one person was in contact with somebody by phone the whole time. And they were able to give him detail as far as how many people were coming to the front door.
The gunman knew only certain employees had access to the multi-layered security system.
We had armed visitors this morning, but if everybody cooperates, we'll be okay.
Ma'am, I need to know, do you have the combination to the safe?
No.
I need you to come with me.
Those without codes or combinations were shoved into a bathroom holding area.
What's going on?
Blonde, tall, act natural, everything will be fine.
It always takes, more than one person to access anything. You have different layers of security within the vault and the cash vaults themselves within the vaults.
Sir, I need to know, do you have the combination to the safe?
It's okay.
Yes, I do.
I need you to come with me.
Anyone with a code was put to work.
So that's what he was trying to determine, was who was going to be able to access that cash.
Other employees had gotten them close. One final combination stood between the robbers and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Get it open. Don't play hero. That'd be stupid.
The robber with the wig was the more threatening one.
Do what you're told, no one gets hurt. Good, now get in there and fill them up.
Within 30 minutes, the gunman had hundreds of thousands of dollars in hand.
Did you get it? Got it. Come on. I need your keys.
They herded Mr. Thompson and the manager in with the other hostages.
He put me in one of the restrooms, and he told me and the people in our restroom that said, we're going to be here 5 more minutes. Nobody stick their head out. And they left. And I was pretty sure that, from hearing the conversations out there, that they were going to leave right away.
No, wait.
So I probably waited, probably a minute and a half before I came out.
When it appeared the robbers had gone, Thompson directed the manager to contact authorities.
Go ahead and call the police.
Yes, Quail Creek Bank's just been robbed. We need the police here right away.
The call went out to nearby Oklahoma City patrol units.
Respond immediately to bank robbery at 1482 Olson Road.
Following standard procedure, Oklahoma City police also contacted the FBI. Special Agent Mike Seigel took the call.
I shouted to other agents on the squad that we had a bank robbery. I gave them the location and gave them a little bit of information about what was going on, the fact that the robbers were gone, and we had a bunch of agents in head for the bank.
The patrol units arrived first. They approached quietly and cleared the bank, making sure no gunmen were still inside. FBI agents arrived minutes later. The Hobbs Act, enacted in 1946 to protect federally insured depositors, makes bank robberies the jurisdiction of the FBI. It meant a nationwide police force would investigate the crime and go after the robbers. The Thompsons described the ordeal that began in their home the night before.
So no one was hurt.
Didn't have anybody hurt.
It had been a sophisticated, well-planned crime, with no evidence left behind. These robbers must have struck before. But no similar robberies had occurred in the area in the past. Agents searched the FBI's database to see if any had been committed elsewhere. They found a national file of robbery cases that included invasions of bank employees' homes.
So I pulled that file out and found that there were several offices that had robberies where the pattern was very similar. So I started communicating with those offices.
He hoped to find an agent who had experience with whoever robbed the Oklahoma City bank, and located Special Agent Steve Chenoweth at the Phoenix FBI.
Hey, listen.
Cycle described the Oklahoma City home invasion-style bank robbery, the robbers' disguises and their mannerisms.
How many guys?
Chenoweth immediately named two bank robbers he knew, Terry Connor and Joseph Doherty, as having operated that way.
All those things are typical of what they had done in the past. And so a lot of that, once I learned the actual details of what had occurred in Oklahoma City, just pointed a finger right at those two.
Witness descriptions from Oklahoma City matched the felons. Because of his knowledge of the pair, Chenoweth became the lead case agent. He knew that Connor and Doherty had met in federal prison. Terry Connor was the leader, in for 3 Arizona bank robberies. Each time, he and his partner had held bank employees hostage overnight.
Joe Doherty was just a thug from Philadelphia, and was a stick-up guy, one-on-one, gun in the right hand, maybe a note in the other hand, and give me what you got across the counter. Not a very sophisticated MO at all, and certainly didn't have the smarts that Terry Connor had.
Connor was a smooth talker, recruiting accomplices with ease.
Terry was, primarily a West Coast guy, and Terry, being from the West Coast and being from California, we did certainly concentrate our efforts out there in California looking for him.
Agents contacted the Monterey, California FBI resident agency. They told Special Agent Harlan Freimeyer what they knew about Terry Connor.
Oklahoma City went on to tell us that the suspicion was that he had a girlfriend that lived in Pacific Grove, California, and they wondered if he might not be heading that direction and asked us to do some work to see if we could work that angle.
They located Connor's girlfriend's home. Routine surveillance revealed a possible link to Terry Connor, who was last believed to be in Oklahoma City.
While doing a spot check on this residence, lo and behold, there was a vehicle parked out front with Oklahoma license plates on it. So I notified the Oklahoma City office, and they didn't actually have a record of that vehicle that they could positively tie into Terry Connor at the time, but they thought it might have been one that he purchased under an alias.
I'll tell you what, you ever seen
While the girlfriend was away from the house, agents spoke with her gardener. Identifying themselves, they told him they were conducting a federal investigation. He needed to be truthful and discreet. They asked if he had recently seen any men at the residence. He hadn't, but recalled overhearing the girlfriend talking about meeting Connor the following week.
The information I got was specific enough that we knew that on a given day, Terry Connor was going to meet somewhere with his girlfriend, and so I felt at that point in time that we were very close to Terry Connor.
Agents followed Connor's girlfriend for days, learning that she drove several different cars. They placed tracking devices on each of them. With receivers in FBI cars and airplanes, they tracked her whenever she drove. But on the day she was to meet Connor, the signal faded.
Once we lost the vehicle, we were spreading our vehicles out in all sorts of directions trying to locate the signal. And we had an airplane assisting us that day, and the airplane gave us the signal out on the highway, and we picked her up again.
Agents traveled toward the location of the recaptured signal. When they spotted the car, it was parked in front of a restaurant.
There was no sign of the girlfriend or Terry Connor or anybody else that was associated with the car, so we made a plan right then to establish full-time coverage on the car until something happened.
Roger that. Stand down.
right, guys, we're still in stand down mode, stand down.
A SWAT team waited, watching for any sign of the suspect. An FBI agent made sure that if the couple returned for the car, they couldn't drive it away.
We let the air out of her tires so they wouldn't sneak in, sneak out real fast, and waited.
Most stakeouts mean long hours with no payoff. But the agents had to stick with it and hope that suspected bank robber Terry Connor would surface. After a hostage-taking and bank robbery in Oklahoma City, the FBI developed two suspects, Terry Connor and Joseph Dougherty. 2 months later, and 1,500 miles away in Atascadero, California, agents staked out a restaurant where Connor's girlfriend had left a car. They believed Connor was in the area, planning to meet her. The long hours of the stakeout paid off for FBI Special Agent Harlan Freimeyer.
We just happened to see Terry Connor drive into the parking lot with his girlfriend, and it doesn't usually work this way, but the photographs we had of Terry Connor were of such quality that it was easy to make instant recognition, so we knew that we were about to accomplish our mission.
The suspect was known to carry weapons, so a tactical arrest team took the lead. They struck fast, giving Terry Connor no opportunity to flee. The girlfriend was questioned, then released after investigators determined she was not involved in Connor's crimes.
Give me your left hand.
Agents then discovered an unexpected benefit to deflating the tire of the girlfriend's car.
By the time we got to the point where we were making our arrest, he had already popped the trunk on his car. And of course, without a search warrant, we couldn't have gotten in there if he hadn't popped it for us. And so once the arrest was made, there we had in plain view the contents of his trunk, and that was useful to us because there was a briefcase that we opened and found a substantial amount of money.
Nearly $40,000 in cash bore serial numbers matching some of the money stolen during the Oklahoma City robbery. Agents also found a large diamond and a jeweler's receipt for 6 more.
Take off your shoes, your belt. One thing.
Authorities took Connor to the Monterey FBI office, where they charged him with the Oklahoma City robbery. In handing over his personal effects during the intake process, something of interest emerged. A sales receipt from a Reno, Nevada car dealership. The buyer was listed as Russell Anderson, perhaps an unknown alias of Connor or Dougherty. He had given an address in Santa Maria, California.
My instinctive belief was that that address might well be the address of his partner Dougherty. So we put out the word as fast as we could to our counterparts in Southern California, asked them to get out and check that address.
A SWAT team immediately went to the residence and prepared to make entry. They suspected Dougherty was inside, perhaps armed. The flashbang grenade was designed to stun anyone in the house.
By the time they got there, whoever had been occupying that address was gone. I fear that possibly they were alerted by Terry Conner in the book-in process when he was given his phone call.
Word that Connor was arrested, but that Doherty was not, went out to case agent Steve Chenoweth.
Even though we're looking for two, we're certainly willing to take one. And the fact that we didn't find Joe there was a little disappointing, but also the fact that we did find Terry Conner meant that we had solved half of that equation, and we just had to up the ante to find Joe.
Chenoweth knew Joe Doherty would keep robbing banks using the method taught him by Connor. But without Terry Conner controlling him, Doherty was a loose cannon, now more dangerous than ever.
Terry was the brains. Terry was the guy that made most of the decisions. And now you're putting Joe, who is more prone to violence than Terry was, basically in a leadership role. If he should fly off the handle, there might not be anybody there to calm him down.
For 8 months, there was no sign of Doherty anywhere. Then, in Phoenix, on the night before the busiest shopping day of the year, when banks are stocked up with cash, the vice president of a large area bank returned home with his family from a Thanksgiving dinner with relatives.
What happened?
It appeared their home had been burglarized. But the intruders hadn't left. Through the night, the two robbers held the banker and his family hostage.
We just want to rob the bank. Just calm down.
It looked like Joe Doherty was leading a new partner.
Take it easy.
And now that he was in charge,
Calm down. Do you understand?
anything could happen.
Settle in and be friends.
Thanksgiving, 1983.
Ride to the bank. They're told no one gets hurt. Give me the keys.
Two intruders held a Phoenix banker and his family hostage overnight.
Go start the car.
Hours before dawn, Joe Doherty and his new partner were ready to rob the bank. They would use the banker's car for transportation and his children for collateral.
In the car. Go. We are now. Come on, get in the car.
Doherty never put down his weapon.
Remember, I've got the gun on your wife. Get in the car.
In less than 2 hours, they would drive to the bank, empty its vault, and escape with $270,000 cash, leaving the family frightened but unharmed.
What's the address?
The heist was in the home city of the lead case agent on Doherty's trail.
Okay, put it out to all agents.
When Steve Chenoweth learned of the crime, he believed he knew who had done it.
Thanks. My first thought right away is Joe Doherty, but didn't know the answer to that until I started talking to the victims to get an actual physical description.
Wondering if Doherty was taunting him by striking in his own town, Chenoweth headed to the banker's home to learn more details of a fearful night spent held at gunpoint.
Most of us don't go through that, and to go through it for an entire evening with your two children is a very scary thing. And so they were glad it was over, and they were certainly glad to see us come.
Jack, can you tell me just a little bit more about...
The banker described the assailants, saying both wore obvious wigs, and the bigger one was in charge.
Once I got the information, the physical description of the leader fit that of Joe Doherty right to a T. So I knew that we were dealing with Joe, but here again, we had another individual that he had picked up, and we didn't know who that guy was as his partner.
It's normally there.
The family described how the pair had acted. Doherty and his new partner were more volatile and threatening than he and Connor had been.
There's two people, two.
But as before, they left agents with no leads.
Bigger guy. One bigger guy that...
6 months later, and 900 miles to the northwest in Reno, Nevada, local police called the FBI to another robbed bank. Once again, the heist was preceded by a hostage-taking the night before. But this time, the level of violence had increased. Now, there was a bomb.
They'd strapped it around the bank officer, indicating that it was explosives. And if he didn't do what he was told to do, that they would detonate that. And that certainly is enough to put the fear of God into you. And I would certainly do anything that they asked me to do.
I want to stay with him. I might ride outside, Bob.
Determining there were no booby traps, a Reno police bomb specialist freed the terrified bank officer and sent him out of the vault to safety. The expert cut off the power supply, though he later determined the device was a fake. The bank officer told the FBI that he and his family had been held hostage at gunpoint overnight by 2 men wearing wigs and business suits.
Recognize the gentleman in this picture right here? That's him.
Shown a photo of Joseph Dougherty, he said it looked like one of the men.
That's what we needed to hear because that's who we're going after.
Witnesses had seen a white sedan with Washington state plates speeding away from the bank after the robbery, so agents searched the area. They found the vehicle abandoned less than 200 yards from the Reno FBI office. It seemed Dougherty was again boldly challenging the FBI. A check of the plates showed it was registered to a man in Spokane, Washington. That man said he had recently sold the car to someone who fit the description of Dougherty and a pregnant woman whom the FBI believed to be Dougherty's girlfriend. To help find the couple, the FBI called on the U.S. Marshals, experts in interstate tracking of cars and people. United States Marshal Denny Barrand believed the cars Dougherty used would be the key to finding him.
As fugitives, Joseph Dougherty was very smart. He changed cars like some people change socks. He would buy cars, sell them back to the original owners, sell them to a used car lot.
Marshals painstakingly followed a complex trail of cars and aliases, and eventually got a break. They discovered a car accident report linking one of Dougherty's aliases to an address in Idaho.
Hi there.
Since the house appeared to be abandoned, the marshals interviewed neighbors.
Yeah, this
One woman immediately recognized the robber, though she only knew him by his alias. She said he had the peculiar habit of shooting pistols in his backyard.
baby. And about a week ago, though, they packed up and moved away.
She told the marshals that he, his girlfriend, and their newborn child had recently moved out.
Okay, go ahead.
Securing a subpoena for moving truck rental records in the area, marshals determined Dougherty's girlfriend had rented one under a false name and had driven it to Colorado.
I'll check on that before it leaves. Good.
The rental company gave authorities her destination, a house in the mountains outside Denver. FBI agents and U.S. Marshals watched from the cover of the woods surrounding the house. Because there was now a baby involved, they had to be especially cautious. At one point, they observed the girlfriend leaving the house with another man. It wasn't Dougherty. Marshals could not see if they had the infant with them. Other marshals followed the two into town and watched them enter a store without the baby.
I said, go to the car that's parked in the shopping mall parking lot and look inside and see if they left the baby inside the car.
It's a negative on the kid in the car. We're gonna go check out.
And they radioed back to me, no, the baby's not in the car. And they didn't have the baby in arms. That means one thing, the baby's still at the house.
Still at the house with Joseph Dougherty. After 2 years of constantly being minutes too late, authorities believed they were finally going to arrest the dangerous robber. But in law enforcement, things rarely happen exactly as planned. 2 years after Terry Connor and Joseph Dougherty robbed an Oklahoma City bank, Connor had been captured, convicted of armed bank robbery, and sentenced to 25 years. The FBI believed his partner, Joseph Dougherty, had continued a spree of hostage-taking and bank robbery, but that they finally had him cornered in a Colorado house. Earlier that day, they had arrested the fugitive's girlfriend and a male associate. The girlfriend confirmed that Dougherty and their infant child were still inside the house, and that Dougherty was armed.
Okay, y'all got that? There's a small child in there? Yes, sir. Okay, do not fire except from his order. Got it. You ready? Right. Set up the front.
A SWAT team fanned out in stations around the house.
Setting up me. Copy number 2. Number 3, are you in position?
Same thing, just moving around. Go.
Also watching was U.S. Marshal Denny Barron.
Joseph Dougherty stepped out of the house, positively identified, and with that he took a .357 Magnum and started to fire into the woods.
But it didn't look like Dougherty was firing at the agents. The SWAT team had to keep cool.
Guys, hunker down. If you're not in danger, don't return fire. Don't return fire unless you're being threatened.
The marshals recalled the neighbor in Idaho who had said Dougherty often fired random shots in his backyard. They believed he didn't know they were there.
Okay, just hold your fire, and let me know if he comes back out again. We're going to try him on the phone.
They still needed to resolve the situation peacefully. An FBI negotiator placed a call to the house.
Hello? This is the FBI. We have you surrounded.
The negotiator, he said, I established contact, but the person is hung up. It was answered by a male, but he hung up.
Got it.
The well-trained snipers had several possible shots at the fugitive, but they held off.
We had to consider, of course, the safety of the baby. We had to consider the safety of other people that might be in the home that we didn't know about.
They've seen him go past the window several times.
You see the baby?
Has anybody caught sight of the child? Anybody seen the child?
Still, they had to be ready if Dougherty started firing at them.
So again, try to get him on the phone. Stand by, be ready.
The negotiator called the house again.
To get her to come out of the house.
He told the fugitive that his girlfriend and accomplice had already been arrested.
Come out of the house.
And asked Dougherty to consider his child's safety and surrender peacefully.
He hung up.
All right, guys, he hung up. Let's move in. Move to the front now.
Through the window, they saw him approaching the door.
Freeze! Put your hands in your hands now! Back up on my command. Back up now. Back up. Come on. Hands up. Come on. On the ground. Now. All the way. Flat down. Arms out. All the way down. Cuffing.
He was arrested without a struggle.
Once we had the baby out of the house, we had the house secured, then we began to move through it, and we discovered 16 firearms in that house, including a .308 tactical assault rifle, 2 of those, all hidden, all loaded, all charged and ready to go to defend that house.
Doherty was charged and held for trial in Oklahoma. Almost a year and a half later, on June 19, 1985, 2 U.S. Marshals were transporting Terry Conner and Joseph Doherty to an Oklahoma City courthouse.
I guess, sure.
Doherty was facing the first of 4 trials, this one for the bank robbery and hostage taking in Oklahoma City 3 years earlier. He had subpoenaed his partner, Terry Conner, as a witness. On a rural road, they made their move. With smuggled jailhouse contraband, a handcuff key, and a razor blade. They had never planned on arriving at the courthouse. They took the marshal's guns
Pull over.
and ordered them off the road.
Yeah. Okay.
They marched the lawman into the woods. The felons were desperate for freedom, and it seemed no one could stop them from gaining it. June 19th, 1985. Bank robbers Terry Conner and Joseph Doherty escaped the custody of 2 U.S. Marshals while in transit to Doherty's trial. The fugitives handcuffed the Marshals to a tree and stole their weapons, badges, and car. They were mobile, armed, and for now, no one knew they were back on the run. They had a 15-minute head start before the Marshals managed to free themselves and report the escape. At the U.S. courthouse in Oklahoma City, Special Agent Steve Chenoweth was shocked when he heard the news.
My initial thought was, this can't happen. When you put so much time and effort into a case like this over a period of years, and to have it just kind of disappear in a flash, in a moment's notice, it's a real severe letdown.
Bank surveillance videos captured Conner and Doherty's next crimes. 2 small-scale bank robberies in St. Louis. Agents believed they'd needed some quick cash before getting back to their regular routine.
Initially, after the escape and after the fact that they had held up both banks there in St. Louis and had about $30,000 cash, we knew that they were going to be coming back out and striking again at a bank officer and his family. We knew that there was a high potential for kidnapping. We knew that the propensity for violence was great.
2 months later, police in West Allis, Wisconsin, received a bank robbery call.
This is Sherry. How may I help you? You're at what bank? And the address, please?
$500,000 was taken, the largest bank heist in the state's history.
Station to Squad 113. You're responding to a bank robbery, 10707 West National Avenue.
It was by now an all too familiar pattern. Two gunmen had held the bank president and his wife hostage, then, again aided by a lookout, robbed the bank. Fingerprints placed Connor and Doherty at the scene. Local police called the Wisconsin FBI. Special Agent Dan Kraft was assigned the case. Reading witness statements, he saw that the fugitives were bolder than ever, no longer even using disguises.
They did nothing to conceal their identity. They didn't do anything to really help by saying their names, but Terry Connor did mention to the bank president's wife, he said, the FBI is going to know who we are.
Because of the continuing danger Connor and Doherty posed, both were placed on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list. Media coverage drew many leads.
Use your help on it.
One call led agents to a man who might have been the robber's lookout outside the Wisconsin bank. Agents issued an APB for the alleged lookout's car. Days later, a state trooper pulled him over and called the FBI.
What we got going on here?
Once they identified him, they took him in.
There was an active open warrant for him out of St. Louis for violating his federal parole. So we arrested him, and I brought him downtown to the FBI office.
At first, the man refused to answer questions about Connor and Doherty.
So we would talk. And this went on for 5 days. But it wasn't a sweating. I mean, you see on television where it looks like an interrogation and you're getting in somebody's face. No, it was just two men talking.
Finally, Kraft won him over.
Thinking about it.
Yeah.
But he was afraid of facing Connor and Doherty in court.
Talk about it, and let's just talk about it, you know, and it's...
I'd like to cooperate, he says, but, you know, I won't testify. So you don't have to testify. We don't need your testimony. You know, we've got these guys locked in. I just need to know how they think. I need to know what they do and how they do it so I can get one step ahead of them.
Understand what they're doing.
The suspect agreed to talk in the hopes of a reduced sentence. He told Kraft how Connor and Doherty chose the banks they robbed, how they traveled, even how they communicated through hotel front desks.
One of them would call up and make a reservation in the name of a former prison warden. And the other one would call up and ask if this person had checked in yet. And the switchboard operator would then say, no, Mr. So-and-so hadn't checked in yet. And they'd say, well, can I leave a message for him? So then the other one would then call back looking for messages. And they did this as one of their ways of communicating without ever it being traced.
The most important piece of information he gave was the name of another man who had helped Connor and Doherty rob banks in the past. His name was John Harris. Agents found Harris in Tucson, Arizona. Surveilling him, they saw him making and receiving calls at a certain payphone. Getting a warrant, they tapped the phone and listened in. He was talking to Connor and Doherty.
We hope through a series of wiretaps that we might be able to trace the phone back to a particular area, and through investigation in that area, maybe locate them.
Agents learned the fugitives were calling from Chicago and were planning another robbery there. Special Agent George Spinelli of the FBI Chicago field office distributed photos of the fugitives to area hotels. One reported a guest who looked like Joseph Doherty, though that name wasn't on the register.
As I looked at the register, I looked down and I did see an alias that Connor had used in the past. At that point, I thought possibly we had two top 10 fugitives at this hotel.
Case agent Steve Chenoweth immediately flew to Chicago, joining the other agents at the hotel. The guest who looked like Doherty appeared to have checked out.
How about a vehicle? No vehicles yet either.
Agents watched the room Connor might be in. If he was there, they needed to confront him outside his room to avoid a standoff.
We were very concerned that it could get violent, and especially Connor, who had vowed that he would never be taken alive. We took extra precautions at that point.
An arrest team planned the takedown for the parking lot.
Okay. All right, keep an eye. Okay, sounds good.
Eventually, the FBI agents spotted someone leaving the room.
I think I might have something here. Come here, take a look. Yeah, got some activity. Can't see his face yet.
It was
That's
Connor.
him, George. That's Connor.
He was
That's a
alone.
positive ID.
Tony, it's our guy. Take him. Take him now.
Agents called for the SWAT team to make the arrest.
So he did not have an opportunity to get away. He was grabbed immediately.
Although Joe Doherty was not seen by agents, it appeared he was nearby and saw the police activity.
A call came in to the switchboard asking what was going on. And it was a male, and asking about the occupant maybe of a particular room. And no doubt in my mind it was Doherty, and he was trying to find out what happened.
Agents searched the area, but did not find Doherty. The one thing they knew was that he would commit more robberies with a new partner.
This guy doesn't have any other choice. He can't do a robbery by himself. He's got to reach out for somebody else.
The FBI believed he'd call on John Harris, and learned Harris had recently flown to San Francisco. Again, they spotted Harris repeatedly using a certain payphone. They ordered another phone tap.
About a week later, we get a phone call, and it was Joe Doherty.
Doherty said he was calling from St. Louis. But FBI technicians couldn't trace the call out of San Francisco.
And all of a sudden, the stark realization came to us that this guy's not in St. Louis. Doherty is right there in that area.
Agents realized he himself was surveilling his lookout to see if he had been followed. They hoped he hadn't seen the undercover agents.
All right, later.
Believing his lookout was in the clear, Doherty planned a meeting for the next morning, there in San Francisco. Agents showed up early. Doherty arrived as promised.
And at about that time, we had a whole lot of very weary FBI agents pounce on Joseph William Doherty. And so ends the saga, and so ended the chase.
After a nationwide manhunt that lasted more than a year, Terry Connor and Joseph Doherty were tried for their most recent crimes. They each received 2 life sentences, plus 139 years without parole. They are kept in separate federal prisons. Their partnership forever terminated. In Washington, D.C., crime had become epidemic. Gangs fought over drug turf, leaving corpses in their wake. The Metropolitan Police Force was overwhelmed as the homicide rate climbed to over 400 per year. Before officers could stem the tide of violence, they became the targets. A cop killer was on the loose, and police turned to the FBI to stop him.
1995, our nation's capital was also our nation's murder capital. Even the police weren't safe. While Washington, D.C. law enforcement targeted criminals, the criminals targeted law enforcement, even gunning down officers on patrol. I'm Jim Kallstrom, former head of the FBI's New York office. As the death toll mounted, D.C. police called upon the FBI for help. The hunt was on to find a cop killer and to bring order to a town in trouble. But things would only get worse before they got better.
On January 10th, 1995, at a fast food restaurant in northwest Washington, D.C., Metropolitan Police Officer Vance Warren was taking a dinner break while working part-time security. It had become common practice for businesses to hire uniformed off-duty police officers to protect their establishments. Everyone felt more secure, customers and employees alike. No one inside saw the dark figure retreat into the shadows. 2 bullets grazed the back of the officer's neck. He peered out into the darkness looking for the shooter, then radioed for assistance.
We have shots fired.
He didn't know where the shots came from, or if the gunman was still out there, waiting to strike again. Responding officers raced to the scene, but the gunman was nowhere in sight. There was no attempt at a robbery. It appeared the shooter's sole purpose was to kill the officer. From witness accounts, police believe the shooter acted alone. The forensic team recovered 2 .32 caliber slugs from inside the restaurant. No shell casings were found at the scene. Though Officer Vance Warren survived the shooting with only minor injuries, others weren't so lucky. Less than 2 months earlier, on November 22nd, a gang member walked into the District of Columbia's police headquarters with a gun and began firing. In an instant, the police sergeant and 2 federal agents were dead. The 4th was critically wounded. With no chance for escape, the killer turned the gun on himself. Police couldn't help but suspect the shootings were somehow connected, even though there was no evidence linking the attack on Officer Warren to the shooting at police headquarters. The attempted murder of the officer seemed like one more incident in an escalating war over drugs and turf. Metropolitan Police were overwhelmed with the level of violence and the crushing caseloads. With at least 1 murder occurring each day, homicide detectives couldn't keep up. For Detective Loren Ledman and his colleagues, their city was under siege.
We rode the wave of the crack epidemic that came in. It paid a heavy toll on our citizens in the murder rate. We had a serious amount of cases. We had a lot of violence. We escalated to the position of being, per capita, one of the worst in the nation.
It was about to get even worse. On January 17th, a few blocks from the White House, Metropolitan Police Officer Eric Hayes was in his patrol car. A taxicab double parked on the opposite side of the street. While the officer filled out paperwork, a man approached his cruiser. He shot the patrolman 4 times at close range. Wounded in his chest, legs, and abdomen, Officer Hayes struggled out of his vehicle. The cab driver witnessed the shooting. He reported it to his dispatcher.
Look, just sunset running down the alleyway.
As the shooter bolted, the cab driver circled around the block. Making his getaway, the gunman stripped off his mask and jacket in an attempt to change his appearance. When the cabbie turned the corner onto the next block, he saw the shooter emerge and alerted his dispatcher that the shooter hailed him. Not realizing the cabbie had witnessed the shooting and followed him, the assailant got in. The driver discreetly turned off his radio, and the dispatcher notified police.
Keep straight, man, keep straight.
An APB was issued for taxi number 440. The driver tried to remain calm, hoping police would find his car. Within minutes, cops picked up the taxi's trailer. The gunman barked a new address and told him to keep driving. In an instant, the driver slammed on the brakes. The assailant discarded his gun and ran. He evaded the pursuing officers. Police retrieved the weapon, which held 6 used shell casings, and called for backup to search the area. At the crime scene, Officer Hayes fought for his life. He survived emergency surgery where doctors removed 4 .32 caliber slugs. An officer called in a forensics unit to gather evidence. They scoured the crime scene. Before gathering any physical material, they photographed the entire area. In the alley, they found the clothing discarded by the assailant, including a black ski mask. They hoped clues revealed in the lab could lead to the shooter's identity. Fearing another blindside attack, the police chief ordered all officers to patrol with a partner and called in the FBI for assistance. Special Agent Jay Abbott was assigned the case.
That what had happened up to that point led us to believe that, my God, we may be dealing with some sort of gang in D.C. that's just decided to take it upon themselves to declare war on the police and just start trying to kill police.
Metropolitan Police fought back with forensics. They sent all physical evidence gathered from the crime scenes to the FBI laboratory, one of the foremost forensics labs in the world. Clothing recovered from the most recent shooting was forwarded to the Hair and Fiber Unit. This unit works 2,500 cases a year from around the country. The DC cop shooting case was given top priority. After the clothes were scraped over a clean sheet of white paper, the surface was inspected carefully for artifacts. An examiner discovered a single head hair from the ski mask. When a suspect emerged, a sample of his hair would be compared to the one found. A match would be vital in a successful prosecution. The gun, the casings, and the recovered slugs were sent to the FBI's Firearms and Tool Marks Unit. Agents needed to determine if the .32 caliber revolver left by the assailant was the weapon used to shoot the officers. Every gun possesses distinct spiral grooves inside its barrel. When a bullet is fired, those grooves leave an imprint on the projectile. The grooves from a fresh bullet would be compared to the grooves on the recovered slugs to see if they corresponded. The bullet sample, together with the slugs, were forwarded to an analyst for scrutiny under the comparison microscope. The bullets matched. This confirmed that the .32 caliber revolver was the weapon used in the two most recent shootings. Investigators were now looking for one man. To find their suspect, the FBI and Metropolitan Police called on their only eyewitness, the cab driver. They asked him to provide a description of the assailant to a police sketch artist. The cabbie described an African-American man with a medium complexion and square jaw. The most distinguishing feature he remembered was that the gunman wore braces on his teeth. Investigators contacted area dentists and orthodontists to see if they recognized the man in the picture as one of their patients. The composite was also distributed through television, newspapers, and local business. A reward prompted hundreds of phone calls. Special Agent Jerry Bammel helped work the leads.
Based on leads which we generated, telephone calls which we received, possible identifications from the dentists and orthodontists, we identified approximately 100 individuals who could have been suspects in this shooting of the police officers.
Investigators worked around the clock to narrow the field of suspects.
We were working 7 days a week on this case because it had a certain urgency to it, given the fact that a subject was stalking police officers and attempting to kill them.
Over several months, suspects were interviewed and eliminated one by one. Agents and detectives made no arrests. Thousands of investigative man-hours had led nowhere. Then, on April 26th, Officer John Novobilski of the Prince George's County, Maryland Police was hired to guard a liquor store in nearby Landover, a suburb of the District of Columbia. A masked gunman approached and fired at close range. He unloaded 16 rounds. The policeman never had a chance. Then he took the downed officer's 9mm pistol. From a nearby corner, a witness heard the shooting and called for help. But it would come too late. Officer Novobilski died instantly. Maryland police secured the area and interviewed the witness. There was no apparent motive, no warning, and the victim was a cop. The pattern seemed to match the two shootings in Washington.
There was tremendous similarities between the killing of Sergeant John Novobilski and the wounding of our two police officers here in Washington, D.C., in that an individual walked up to a seated police officer and without provocation opened fire and shot the officer.
5 months had passed since the first officer was shot. Agents were no closer to finding their suspect, and now he was wanted for murder. Washington police and FBI agents scoured the streets looking for the assailant who had wounded two of their colleagues. As they continued to hunt, Maryland police made an arrest for the murder of their officer. There was no evidence linking the Maryland suspect to the two attacks on D.C. police. Special Agent Jay Abbott believed the D.C. attacker was still at large and could strike again at any moment.
But we felt this person was probably going to try to kill another police officer somewhere in Washington, D.C. or in the vicinity. And it gave us real pause for concern that we weren't able to follow up any viable leads during that time.
On May 18, 1995, while investigators continued their search in Washington, a young Maryland woman arrived at a Prince George's County precinct. bruised and battered, Nadine McCrae explained to the police officer that she had been beaten by her boyfriend. Accompanied by a supportive friend, Nadine began to detail the vicious assault she received at the hand of Ralph McClain.
So 9 o'clock last night.
Agent Bammel recalls its severity.
McClain tried to kill McCrae the evening of the 17th, which was the reason that she came forth to the police on the 18th. He beat her into unconsciousness. He stuffed drugs into her.
Information I need from you.
The Prince George's County police officer issued an arrest warrant charging McClain with attempted murder. He recommended that Nadine get a thorough medical examination. On the way out, Nadine's friend pleaded with her to tell the officer the reason McClain had almost beaten her to death. Nadine hesitated.
It's okay.
She was afraid of what else McClain might do if she said anything more. Reluctantly, she told the police officer what she knew. The night the sketch of the suspect appeared on the television news 3 months before, she was surprised to see McClain prying the braces off his teeth. When she questioned him, McClain screamed at her to mind her own business. According to Nadine, her boyfriend, Ralph McClain, was not only responsible for the shootings in Washington, he was also a cop killer.
Her boyfriend had advised her that they had the wrong person for the shooting that occurred in Landover, Maryland with Officer Novobilski.
She provided the break that agents were looking for.
Okay, Nadine, I'm going to call another detective who's handling this.
Nadine McCrae, so reluctant to speak at first, knew that now there was no going back.
I think she realized how dangerous the person was and was very willing to cooperate with us. Because I think at that point she also realized that her own life was in danger now, having revealed her knowledge of the subject.
Agents entered Ralph McClain's name into the NCIC, the National Crime Information Center, to find out if their suspect had any prior convictions. For Agent Bammel, the database revealed that McClain was no stranger to crime.
He had a long history of criminal activity here in Washington, D.C., totaling over 20 arrests. Those arrests were for some petty crimes, shoplifting, but they did escalate to assault on police officer, drug distribution type charges also.
Investigators secured a search warrant for McClain's apartment.
It was a very tense time just to go into that residence with the possibility that he could be there and with all the tension of realizing what they might find.
McClain wasn't home. Investigators began searching the apartment. Survivalist magazines, weapons manuals, and how-to guides for terrorist operations were strewn everywhere. The materials detailed how to conduct surveillance, conceal movements, and catch victims by surprise. In the living room, the forensic team uncovered a black ski mask similar to the one found at the second shooting.
Yeah, that fits the description too.
They also discovered 9mm cartridges, the same type used in the assault that killed the Maryland officer. In a cabinet, they found more ammunition, this time for a .32 caliber weapon.
That's very important to us because the shooter of Sergeant Eric Hayes and Officer Vance Warren used a .32 caliber revolver in that shooting. Also, a manual for a MAC-11 assault weapon was found, and additionally, lots of writings of anti-police type hatred were found within the residence.
Forensics examiners searched for strands of hair to compare to the one found previously. The team took samples from hairbrushes, bed sheets, even the drain in the bathroom sink. If hairs from McLean's apartment matched the hair recovered from the crime scene, agents would have forensic evidence against the fugitive.
There's more in here. Let me get the rest of this out.
Armed with a photograph of a suspect, detectives called on the cab driver. They asked him to look at a photo lineup to see if he could identify McLean as the man who shot Officer Hayes. Metropolitan Police Detective Lauren Ledman was there for the lineup.
The cab driver had always told us that if you ever, show me a picture of the guy, I will recognize him. You hear that, right? But I mean, he said it with a lot of passion.
Investigators handed photos to the witness one at a time. He studied each carefully. When he was handed the fourth photo, the whole terrifying incident came flooding back. He was staring into the face of Ralph McLean.
He was talking to the picture as if Ralph McLean was there. He was talking to him through the picture. It was the best identification I've ever seen. I mean, he's screaming at this picture.
Investigators now had two witnesses who pointed to Ralph McLean as the cop killer. Science would be the third witness. At the FBI labs, examiners matched the hair samples retrieved from McLean's apartment to the hair recovered earlier from the clothing found at the Officer Hayes shooting. It was the critical piece investigators needed to secure an arrest warrant for Ralph McLean.
At that point, we were armed with some very serious evidence. We had the girlfriend with the admission, we had hairs, and we drafted an affidavit for signature for a Superior Court judge, and in the middle of the night, we went out and we obtained that warrant.
But first, they had to find McLean. Investigators canvassed all of his known haunts. The suspected cop killer had apparently fled the area, and agents had no idea where he was headed. Ralph McLean was wanted for shooting 3 police officers in and around Washington, D.C., killing 1. A month had passed since the last shooting, and investigators had no clues to his whereabouts. To find him, they looked to his girlfriend, Nadine, for help. She was under constant police protection since McLean had tried to kill her. Nadine spoke with McLean through his cell phone. He was not aware that investigators were listening.
You want to meet?
Through their conversation, Special Agent Jay Abbott and his team were able to track McLean's movements.
We were able to locate him at one point in the Fredericksburg, Virginia area, and we're very close to making an arrest at that time. But unfortunately, he was able to evade our attempts.
Their conversations continued over 2 more days. Authorities learned that McLean was traveling south to Florida, but he never gave Nadine a specific location. Investigators wondered if McLean knew his girlfriend was cooperating with police. She told them that he monitored the news constantly on a portable TV. If they were going to catch McLean, they needed to surprise him and keep his name out of the media. That meant keeping the arrest warrant out of the national system. In South Carolina, that decision would work against them when a highway patrolman pulled him over for a moving violation. The officer approached and asked to see a driver's license and vehicle registration. McLean showed him his registration and claimed his license was in the trunk. The South Carolina officer, just weeks away from retirement, followed him to the rear of the automobile. McLean rifled through his belongings and pulled out his license. The officer told McLean to return to his vehicle while he called in to see if he had any outstanding moving violations. He also checked to see if the car had been reported stolen. Records indicated that it was legally registered to Ralph McLean. He issued McLean a ticket, then gave him directions to the town's magistrate's office to pay the fine. The officer survived the incident, but authorities had missed an opportunity to capture the cop killer. Back in Washington, Detective Lauren Ledman looked for a way to lure him back to the area.
We were faced with somebody that was mentally unstable, that was out actively shooting police officers. We were kind of at his mercy because he was calling the shots. And the key was we needed to get him nailed down in a location where we could surround him.
Investigators once again depended on Nadine's help. They advised her to promise McLean a reconciliation if he returned.
Hey, you want to meet somewhere?
McLean said he was interested in the offer, though he wouldn't agree to when or where they would meet again. Investigators worried that they were losing the element of surprise.
We were looking for a little bit of an edge, but that edge was taken away from us. The media found out about it. They broadcast his name, his photograph, and so forth, which really bothered us because it brought us to another heightened level.
They hoped McLean hadn't seen the broadcast. On Memorial Day weekend, McLean called Nadine. He was ready to meet with her. As instructed by the FBI, Nadine suggested meeting at a large shopping mall in Northern Virginia, a place where agents could maintain surveillance without being noticed.
What I'll do is I'll call you when I get to the mall.
McLean agreed to the location. The information was relayed to agents in Washington. Special Agent Al Buckley, in charge of the arrest plan, was notified. He called the FBI SWAT team that had been on standby for several days.
When I heard the information that Mr. McLean was heading back to the Virginia or Washington, D.C. area, I felt that Mr. McLean was coming up to do two things, either to kill Nadine and possibly kill an additional police officer.
Agents and D.C. officers arrived at the mall in Tysons Corner, Virginia. Their first task was to set up a perimeter. They had to be certain that once McLean arrived, he would not slip through. Collectively, the team had decades of experience. This should have been a routine operation.
I've been involved in several arrest situations where meetings are held before the arrests, and a lot of times there's a lot of joking around just to relieve the tension. I'd have to say that that night was a little bit different. It was quiet, and that's probably the first time in my FBI career that I could just cut the silence with a knife.
The team finalized plans and waited for word that McLean arrived. At the Prince George's County Police Station, where Nadine kept in contact with McLean, the dispatcher relayed information to agents in the field. Agent Buckley got the call. McLean had changed the rendezvous location. The fugitive wanted to meet Nadine in Maryland, nearly 25 miles away from where the SWAT team had assembled. The sudden change of plans was troubling. The call suggested that McClane might have known he was being set up. Wanted cop killer Ralph McClane was on his way to a Greenbelt, Maryland plaza to confront his girlfriend, Nadine. An FBI SWAT team was racing there to intercept him. Since McClane had changed the location from Tyson's Corner, Virginia, investigators suspected the armed fugitive knew Nadine was cooperating with authorities. Special Agent Jay Abbott was gravely concerned.
At the time, we began to sense that he had suspicions of what was happening. And given those suspicions, that added to the sense of urgency even more. We weren't sure that he would actually show up at one of these locations to meet Nadine. He might begin to smell that there was a trap.
As they got closer, agents turned off their blue light and constantly monitored the radio. A police dispatcher relayed updates to agents in the field. He kept them posted on McClane's plans, learned through conversations with Nadine.
36 and 51, be 1051 to 600 block of Jefferson.
Agents were at the mercy of the fugitive's whims. After changing the location several times, the team got word that McClane decided to meet at a gas station across from Beltway Plaza. They scrambled to set up a perimeter around the gas station. Agents hoped they would have enough time to secure the area. Once in place, they would wait for McClane to either show up or call Nadine. Detective Ledman took his position in a field across from the gas station. He believed McClane would show up to see Nadine despite suspicions of a trap.
We didn't even know if he even really wanted to meet her. We just felt that he was just trying to get in shooting range of her to kill her. Why? Because she was the only ear witness to this shooting of this police officer.
As the team continued to assemble, Nadine remained at police headquarters on the cell phone with McClane. Securing the closest position to the gas station, 20-year veteran agent Billy Christian arrived. The schoolyard across the street offered the best vantage point. If McClane appeared, Agent Christian would be the first to see him.
Is this number 1? Is this number 2?
Other team members set up on nearby streets, hoping to spot McClane's car as it approached. Pressure mounted as they waited and watched.
It was very tense. Al Buckley and I were sitting in a vehicle together just a couple hundred yards away, trying to direct the activity of a number of people. And it was very tense. I remember saying to him when we were in the car, I just hope that we can get him without anybody getting hurt.
Finally, the team was notified that the suspect had called Nadine. He complained that he didn't see her at the gas station. McClane was in the area, but agents couldn't get a precise fix. Investigators believed he was very close.
This particular time, he was whispering, which led me to believe that somebody was close to him, which caused me to look around. You see, was I on top of him and didn't know it?
Hidden behind a small hill, Detective Ledman checked the gas station again. But he still didn't see McClane. Scanning to his right, the detective could see Christian's car. From his position, Christian also surveyed the area, but he too saw no trace of the fugitive. At that point, a local officer out on his regular patrol approached Christian's car from behind. The patrolman, unaware of the arrest plan, thought the agent's car seemed suspicious.
Bill Christian, to his credit, realized and recognized the danger that the officer was in and exited his vehicle, walked to the vehicle, and showed him his credentials. That action probably identified Bill Christian to Ralph McLean as a law enforcement person.
The officer turned off his lights and pulled away from the scene. Christian resumed his surveillance. While investigators watched for McLean, he was watching them. The element of surprise and the tactical advantage was McLean's. Well camouflaged in dark clothes, he surveyed the car where Agent Christian sat waiting and watching. He advanced slowly and deliberately on Christian's position. Agents knew he was out there, somewhere. Anxieties ran high since McLean's calls to Nadine had stopped. The cop killer continued to advance. With Christian's gaze fixed on the gas station, McLean stalked the agent. FBI agents and DC detectives surrounded a gas station in Greenbelt, Maryland, waiting for cop killer Ralph McLean to show himself. The arrest team knew he was close, but they didn't know where. McLean was advancing on Agent Billy Christian from the shadows. Christian heard something, turned to look, but saw nothing. He heard it again, glanced around, but no one was there. McLean's low profile hid him below the agent's line of sight. The killer continued to advance on his unsuspecting prey. Rising just beyond the agent's line of sight, McLean lifted his Mac-11 machine gun and aimed it at Christian. Muzzle bursts ripped through the night air. Agent Billy Christian slumped in his seat. Detective Ledman spotted McLean sprinting into the woods and called for backup. The detective pulled the bleeding agent from the car, laid him flat, and made a second call for assistance. Agents Jay Abbott and Al Buckley were among the first to respond.
We heard a call come over the radio of shots fired and that the subject is running. When we pulled up on Billy Christian's car, we realized that Billy had been shot. The window had been blown out.
Detective Ledman tried to help the fallen agent before rescue units arrived.
He had been hit on the blind side to his left at a 45-degree angle. He had been hit several times, and he was dead.
The cop killer had claimed another life.
This person had just killed a colleague, not just a colleague, but a good friend, a mentor to some of us. He had been around for a long time, a 20-year agent. And to have this happen was enraging.
Units from several jurisdictions responded instantly. A Prince George's County officer arrived with a police dog and started to hunt for McLean in the dark.
I remember him running up to Billy's car. I remember him looking at Billy and sniffing at the door area and then turning around and trying to make a beeline back toward the school.
The team tore off into the darkness with the dog and their semi-automatic weapons. They didn't know if they were walking into another trap.
We started into the wooded area. I had my flashlight out, and I remember just clicking on my flashlight on and off, because at that point I was afraid that if I kept the beam on, Mr. McLean would be able to focus in on either one of us.
The darkness worked in McLean's favor.
We went into the woods in an attempt to at least try to locate which way he went or where he went. And it was probably an error in judgment to do that when I look at it in retrospect, but that's how high the emotions were at the time.
The team pressed on, but McLean had enough of a lead to plan a deception.
As he ran away from the scene after just shooting Bill Christian, he had the wherewithal to call 911 and report that he saw a man with a gun leaving the area in a vehicle. This was an obvious attempt to try to throw those of us who were in pursuit in another direction, to try to aid in his escape.
Tracing the call, agents knew he was still in the area, but they didn't know exactly where. It appeared the fugitive cop killer had evaded authorities once again. He ran through the parking lot of the nearby plaza. The team was infuriated by the senseless murder of Billy Christian. They steeled themselves to continue the pursuit. Agents and local investigators alike vowed to stop the cop killer before he killed again.
Anger was probably the biggest feeling that I had that night. Frustration. I was frustrated that we're all not going home tonight. Billy has to stay here.
As agents Buckley and Abbott continued to track the fugitive's path through the woods, Detective Ledman received a call from investigators positioned in the parking lot of the plaza.
Mr. McLean had run and gotten behind a store and had a large ramp that leads up to the back of the store where there was 3 trailers, and he had secluded himself behind those.
McLean opened fire on pursuing officers. They took cover on the ground and returned fire. Emerging from the woods, agents Abbott and Buckley saw officers being fired upon. They pulled their guns and joined in the fight. McLean was dug in and well armed. Officers were pinned down. No one knew how to get to him without losing another life. FBI SWAT team member Jerry Bammel arrived on the scene. He aimed at the fugitive, but didn't have a clear shot. He saw an opportunity to flank McLean and maneuvered to his right. While police and agents traded fire with the cop killer, Bammel remained hidden from McLean. Then he stepped out from behind the dumpster and began firing on the shooter from the opposite side. From his position, Bammel noticed that McLean had a possible escape route.
The loading dock ended with a railing and then a 10-foot drop wall. And I realized that McLean could conceivably get over that wall. and flee into the lower parking area where there were no agents or officers at the time.
Bammel blocked McLean's exit with gunfire. Now McLean was receiving fire from two different positions. He swung around and sprayed rounds where Bammel was standing. The agent returned fire. McLean was hit. Agents and officers continued firing. McLean fired one more round. Then there was silence.
I waited a moment, and then there was a call out, something like, "He's down, he's down."
Bammel hesitated before advancing on McLean's position to be sure this wasn't another trick. While officers and agents waited in the lot with guns at the ready, Agent Bammel made his way alongside the trailer, approaching the motionless figure. Another agent advanced on the opposite side. As they moved in, an officer yelled from the darkness that he saw movement. He was going to fire two more rounds towards McLean.
As soon as he yelled that, I yelled, "Don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot," because I was immediately concerned of the fact that we had placed ourselves into a deadly crossfire situation.
It was over. McLean had shot himself with a 9mm pistol, the same weapon he had taken from Officer Novobilski, who he murdered a month earlier. The cop killer was dead, but the price was steep.
This person, the subject, had one goal in mind, in my opinion, and that was to kill police officers. And why, I will never know, but it was apparent to me that that was what he had decided to do for whatever reason at some point in his life.
Agent Billy Christian was close to retirement when he was gunned down. He had worked with Agent Bammel over the span of his long career.
Billy had been a 20-year agent with the FBI. Billy was an expert marksman, a firearms instructor, one of the first members of the FBI's hostage rescue team, the full-time Special Weapons and Tactics team, and he was also a member of the Washington Field SWAT team.
The names of Agent William Christian and Officer John Novobilski were added to the Law Enforcement Memorial, commemorating those who have fallen in the line of duty.
My desk here at the FBI overlooks the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial, and not a day goes by that I don't think of my friends.
Their sacrifice remains vivid and is recalled each Memorial Day.
There is a feeling when you lose a brother or sister, agent and officer, that a part of you is lost, and they will never be forgotten.
A string of vicious bank robberies grows more violent with every holder, then ends in a deadly shootout. With a dangerous man on the run, police conduct an all-out search for a fugitive so desperate he will stop at nothing to make his escape.
Two armed bank robbers hit a Seattle bank, taking over $150,000. But before they can escape, police confront them and the pair splits up. As authorities search block by block, they learn one was a career criminal with a long history of violence. I'm Jim Kallstrom, former head of the FBI's New York office. The suspect was smart and desperate to stay free. Agents chased him through the Caribbean and across cyberspace, determined to put an end to his career.
One of the FBI's primary responsibilities is investigating bank robberies. And they see more of these crimes in Seattle than just about any other place in the country. The FBI office there investigates every bank robbery in the state of Washington. Special Agent Mike Adams runs Seattle's robbery division.
Over the last 5 or 6 years, we've averaged 300 bank robberies a year, primarily here in the Seattle or King County area. Bank robberies are a big problem here in this area.
The FBI cites a high rate of drug addiction and the fact that Washington has a relatively large number of bank branches as reasons for this. The Seattle agents see two basic types of bank heists. Most are one-on-one robberies, when someone approaches a teller with a note and a quiet demand for cash.
Not necessarily a robber who cares to draw attention to him or herself by being extremely vocal or attempting to take over the banking operations.
The other kind of robbery is more rare and more dangerous. The takeover.
A takeover robbery is where we have one or more robbers who enter a bank and attempt to take over the banking operations through various means, either ordering people to the floor or ordering bank employees away from the teller counters. More often than not, in a takeover-style bank robbery, the bank robber or robbers are armed with firearms. So those are considered very violent as opposed to a one-on-one style bank robbery.
Agents note that whenever takeover bandits get away with it, they will usually rob again, becoming bolder and more violent with each new attempt. On May 17, 2000, one particularly vicious string of takeover-style robberies begins at a downtown Seattle bank.
Hurry up! All of it, all of it. I will shoot you right now, lady. I ain't playing with you. Get that.
Working quickly, they disappear in minutes with thousands of dollars in cash. A week later, thieves hit another area bank, brandishing bigger guns, intensifying their assault on unsuspecting patrons and employees. 2 weeks later, robbers strike again with even more aggression. Since takeover robberies are rare, agents believe the crimes were all perpetrated by the same bandits.
We did see bank robberies that did appear to be similar in nature in terms of the level of violence, in terms of large amounts of money. Certainly, a robbery of that nature is going to pique our attention because of the significant level of violence.
Yet each time, the robbers escape cleanly in stolen getaway cars, leaving no eyewitnesses who can ID the men. The FBI is facing a pair of seasoned criminals who grow more aggressive with each attack. Recognizing a pattern of behavior, authorities feel these violent robbers will turn deadly. 6 days later, on the morning of June 22nd, 2000, their worst fears are realized. Two men head down Aurora Avenue, then turn into the parking lot of Wells Fargo Bank. The people inside have no idea what's coming.
Boys and girls, shut up and get on the ground.
gunmen corral the customers and employees. But they miss one. The robbers are organized. One stands guard, while the other finds a teller who can access the vault.
I'm asking you, do you have the key to the vault? Don't look at me.
The manager connects with police emergency.
Stay on the line. All units, we've had a bank robbery at 120 in Aurora.
A dispatcher puts out an urgent call about armed robbers still inside the bank.
204 received.
Seattle officer Wesley Buxton responds.
It was a bank robbery in progress. That's a little bit of an unusual call. We usually get bank alarms as opposed to bank robbery in progress.
Buxton races to the bank.
I said hurry up. Yeah. Come on, here, fill it up. Hurry up.
Inside the vault, the thief takes all the cash his two backpacks can hold. The teller follows orders, hoping the gunman won't kill him.
No phone calls or nothing, you understand me? None of that.
Buxton kills his siren as he approaches the bank.
I was the first one on the scene. There was a motorcycle sitting out in front of the bank. I believe it was up on the sidewalk. You really couldn't see in the bank.
Following procedure, the officer finds cover and waits for backup. Officer Rick Sprecher arrives and gets into position. The bandits emerge, unaware of the officers. They cannot get the motorcycle started.
They sat there like they were frozen for a minute in time, I guess trying to figure out why the motorcycle wouldn't start. And then they jumped off the motorcycle and they started running away from it.
Then one suspect trips.
I had my gun on him and told him to stay down.
Buxton stays with the first gunman. Officer Sprecher orders the second to stop. But the man disappears. Then Officer Buxton is suddenly faced with the unthinkable.
It seemed like slow motion. I've heard the tape recording of it, and the shots were fired in quick succession. But at that time, it seemed like there were even maybe 1 or 2 seconds between the actual shots.
Put your weapon down!
Sprecher returns fire, finally stopping the gunman. Officers contain one suspect. The other is gone.
Got an officer down! Officer down! I need backup!
Officer Sprecher's call brings an intense law enforcement response. Emergency medical technicians work to stabilize Officer Buxton, while Officer Sprecher quickly briefs detectives.
He got shot 6 times. I muttered on him. Guy's loose.
The man who shot the officer is dead.
Black jacket.
The hunt for the escaped suspect begins immediately.
One suspect at large, black helmet, black clothing.
A dispatcher broadcasts a description of the fleeing gunman on all police channels. FBI agents rush to the bank. Among them, Agent Mike Adams.
On my way to the bank, I did hear an officer was shot and was down. It was obviously a very violent takeover-style robbery.
Adams recognizes that these initial reports are similar to the 3 earlier robberies, and that the violence has escalated even further. With one armed gunman still on the loose, authorities quickly move to contain the situation.
There were several people, bystanders, who were beginning to gather around. So Seattle police immediately took control of the scene because of the imminent danger and potential threat that still existed.
The Seattle Police Department directs their homicide unit to the scene, including Detective Paul Seguro,
Anytime there's officer-involved shooting where a Seattle police officer fires a weapon, we are called to investigate.
All law enforcement agencies begin working together to develop a plan to find the escaped gunman. Seattle police form an emergency command post to coordinate the effort.
Their assignment. Let's wrap it up right now. Take off, all right?
Members of our SWAT team had already started a search of the inner perimeter area.
Moving toward the general direction of the fleeing suspect, SWAT methodically searches every hiding space. They are careful, knowing that the gunman is desperate and could be anywhere.
Let's go! Right behind us, let's go!
Concerned for public safety, law enforcement swarms the area. Roads are blocked, traffic rerouted. Detective Sergeant David Ritter.
The bank robbery and subsequent police shooting led to a tremendous police presence in the area. We had dogs, we had the King County helicopter, the special weapons team.
The SWAT team goes door to door, warning everyone in the business district.
Anybody in here with me down the street? Businesses were shut down. We closed all the local businesses for the safety of the people because the suspect was still at large.
Okay, you guys are right. Just do that, please. Thank you.
After treating gunshot wounds in Officer Buxton's left arm and right shoulder, the emergency medical technicians take him to the hospital.
Both wounds, the bullet went in and out, so it was just a matter of cleaning it up and make sure there wasn't anything that would cause any kind of infection.
Special Agent Adams searches the downed bank robber for clues.
I pulled out his identification, which said his name was Daniel Del Fierro. He was not someone that, known to the FBI at that time, but nonetheless, certainly a name for us to conduct further follow-up investigation.
Investigators locate the .380 semi-automatic handgun used to shoot Buxton. In a belt pack, they find a .38 revolver. Agents also recover 2 backpacks full of cash.
A lot of the money in there was still in shrink wrap, delivered from the Federal Reserve Bank. Later, the money found in both backpacks came up to well over $151,000. That is a lot of money, much more than is typically taken during a bank robbery.
Police run the plates of the motorcycle and learn it will not help them ID the escaped suspect. The bike was stolen. FBI agents interview bank employees and customers, searching for clues that might help them locate the second gunman. But the robbers never used any names, and no one saw their faces. An evidence technician recovers a footprint left on the teller counter. But it is the only physical evidence investigators find at the scene. The heist was clean. Local police pull up the record of the dead robber, Daniel Del Fierro. He was fresh out of prison, having served time for manslaughter and assault. Police continue to hunt down Del Fierro's accomplice. Within hours of the robbery, they pick up his trail. Detectives respond to a nearby junkyard where officers have recovered evidence.
We are backtracking, finding the items of evidence that were discarded. As he's running, he's getting rid of his motorcycle he had on, gloves. It's sort of like the trail that he left behind. And he continues running probably another 50 feet. And then took off his jacket. There's a high chain link fence and barbed wire on top of that. There's also a handgun, a .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol covered close to the jacket.
Investigators suspect that the gunman was covering his trail by leaving behind evidence and any clothing that would later identify him. But just as the suspect's trail appears to be getting cold, it heats up again.
Zero. I'll be right there. Gotta go.
Investigators head to a nearby apartment building, responding to a call made by the building's manager.
Excuse me, ma'am. You don't want to call the police earlier.
She had called police after finding fresh blood outside an apartment.
Anything unusual? Went upstairs to my apartment and noticed the blood on the stairwell.
Did you see any? We surmised that the second suspect must have cut his hand going over the fence.
If it is the gunman's blood, he could still be in the building, armed and desperate. Police call for SWAT.
Secure the perimeter. We'll get you to a safe spot.
And a nearby team arrives immediately. With a dangerous and elusive gunman still on the loose, police hope they now have him cornered. Following a Seattle bank robbery in June 2000, a gun battle leaves one police officer injured and one suspect dead. The second armed suspect flees on foot and disappears. Police follow a blood trail to a nearby apartment building. Thinking the gunman might be holed up there, a SWAT team checks the place, one hallway, one apartment at a time.
Clear at the top, come on!
But they find nothing. Once the building is cleared, investigators secure a sample of the blood for later testing. Authorities pour every resource into the intense manhunt, according to Detective Sergeant David Ritter.
Because of the seriousness of the robbery, every available officer that we could find was involved in this hunt for the second suspect.
Police are cautious, knowing from experience that someone willing to shoot a cop is far more dangerous than the average criminal. FBI agents approach residents, asking them what they've seen and warning them about the fugitive.
The suspect was obviously very dangerous, and the people in the immediate area were afraid.
Tactical officers continue to check buildings, alleys, any place the suspect could hide.
Clear, let's go, next one.
They instruct every business in a 15-block area to shut down and lock up.
Okay, all right, thanks.
In no time, authorities seal off one of Seattle's busiest shopping districts, bringing the entire area to a standstill. Investigators have identified the suspect killed during the shootout as Danny Del Fiero. He is the investigators' best lead for locating the second robber. King County Deputy Prosecutor Steve Fogg.
So we got an immediate warrant for his residence, his car, to try to locate whatever information we could about him, and through that, who he might have done the crime with.
At Del Fiero's home, investigators meet a woman who had lived with him. She says she knows nothing about the robbery, but helps them compile a list of her housemate's associates.
We're trying to solve a crime here. Man, listen, I understand you're uptight about it.
Investigators then search Del Fiero's home, but find nothing that can help them identify the escaped suspect. Across town, officers respond to a call from a man who claims he was the target of an attempted carjacking. It is just north of the building where the blood was found.
I was leaving for work, and
The driver explains that minutes earlier, he was leaving his apartment complex.
All of a sudden, he saw this guy jump out in front of him and slam both of his hands down on the hood and force him to stop. The guy said, "Hey, I've been in a fight, and I need you to help me. Can you give me a ride?"
Look, I need your car. Just come
The
on.
man became more aggressive.
He put his hand into the car, tried to grab the keys, and tried to take the car himself. When it became apparent that that was not going to work, he became quite vicious, within, a matter of seconds. The owner of the car was able to fight him off, push him out the door, and then just jet off as fast as he could. He reported what had happened to a police officer.
Yeah, the guy was like,
Police are convinced the carjacker is the robber they're pursuing. The victim gives them a detailed description of his assailant and the direction he was going.
He was moving to the north, so that moved the search in that direction. We got the description out immediately, and the media was helpful, and they got it out to the public as fast as we had it.
For 3 hours, investigators find no sign of the fugitive until a 911 operator gets a call.
My wife and I, we've been mugged.
A man reports that he and his wife had been held hostage that afternoon. The intruder had fled, but they think he was the bank robber they heard about on the news.
Yes, the one that robbed the bank.
Investigators race to a residence north of the carjacking attempt. The couple explains what happened. 3 hours earlier, the woman was leaving her house when she saw a man in her truck. He was calm and told her he'd been in a fight and needed her help. She didn't fall for it.
At this point, the police and the media were sort of circling the area, and she pointed up to the helicopters and said, "No, I think actually they're looking for you." And again, the personality changed just like that. The woman is not somebody who's just going to kind of roll over for this guy.
She tried to fight back.
He grabbed a knife, let her know that he was capable of using it. He signaled to her that his own survival was at stake and he was going to be as brutal as he had to be.
Where's the tape? Tell me right now, where's the tape? Do you have any rope? Don't move.
As he searched for something with which to tie her up, her husband came home.
Honey! Honey! Where are you? Hey! I'm home. Honey, what's going on?
The husband then tried to intervene on behalf of his wife, and this guy punched him.
Stop moving! Stop moving! Give me your hands! Give me your hands!
At this point, they were just doing what they needed to do to survive, and so they said, I think they felt like if they were tied up, at least they wouldn't be shot or anything like that.
The couple could hear the assailant making calls on his cell phone in another room.
2434 Campbell Road. Knock on the window, okay?
Then he calmly got a beer from the refrigerator and began watching accounts of his own robbery on television. He seemed transfixed by live images of the extensive manhunt.
About 2.5, 3 hours after they were tied up, there was a knock on the window, and he sort of ran out the door, and that was the last they ever saw of him.
By the time police respond, it's clear the suspect has slipped through their dragnet.
Once we interviewed the people in the house, then it was pretty obvious that he had gotten away. The intensive search ended when it was obvious that he had fled the scene and he had had some help from somebody else, probably a car. So the actual physical search of the area was pretty much stopped at that time.
Investigators processed the entire house, collecting fingerprints and blood samples. They hope the evidence will help them identify a dangerous criminal. A man who will do anything to escape the law. An armed bank robber is on the run, following a deadly shootout in which police kill his partner. During his flight, the fugitive assaults a couple, then holds them hostage in their Seattle home, while he waits for a getaway driver to help him escape. FBI Special Agent Gary Shainline knows this fugitive is especially dangerous.
The nature of the act itself of bank robbery is very violent, but in trying to effect an escape, his partner and he were involved in the shooting of a police officer and also the taking hostage of innocent citizens. So the stakes in this particular case were definitely higher.
Detective Paul Seguro begins canvassing the neighbors of the slain robber, Danny Del Fiero. One man tells Seguro he had seen television reports about the stolen motorcycle used in the robbery, and he recognized it.
He saw Del Fiero with the motorcycle prior to the bank robbery taking place.
The man tells Seguro he saw the bike on a tow truck.
And this individual had seen another individual inside the truck with Del Fiero the day before.
Seguro thinks the tow truck driver might be the second robber. He asks the neighbor if he knows who he is. The man says he had never seen him before. The owners of the bank that was robbed tried to help, according to FBI Special Agent Mike Adams.
That very day, the bank came to us and wanted to offer a reward for information that would lead to the identity, arrest, and eventual conviction of the person or persons responsible for that armed bank robbery.
Agents hope the large reward will make people more willing to talk.
Myself, other FBI agents spent many long hours attempting to gather as much information as we could.
Investigators tracked down every possible lead, trying to get more information on Del Fiero's known associates.
We drove to several different addresses and locations in our attempt to interview different people who we thought might be able to lead to the identity as well as the location of the second suspect of this bank robbery.
Every lead becomes a dead end. Investigators finally get a break when officers begin processing the evidence left behind by the fleeing robber.
Inside the jacket was this piece of paper that had a photocopy of a driver's license that belonged to a young 16-year-old girl, and then a lot of information about who she was.
Police begin looking for the young woman.
They called the best number they had for her, which was her dad. And her dad said, well, she's at the movies. And they said, well, you need to get her. So she came and talked to the police, and she said that as soon as her dad came into the movie theater, she immediately knew what it was about.
Basically, the reason why I asked is because
they show her the photocopied license and ask how the bank robbers got it.
She told us that she was approached by a person she went to high school with. The person she went to high school with said, I have an individual that has large sums of money. He needs ID and social security numbers. In return, you'll get a couple $1,000s if you let us use your ID and social security number.
The young woman explains the information was to be used to set up bank accounts to launder stolen money. She gives detectives the name of her high school friend, the middleman for the ID fraud.
So what is this all about?
Detectives track down the man and try to get him to cooperate.
We contacted him early morning hours. He was somewhat reluctant to talk to us at first, but then as we started talking to him, he finally started to tell us about who it was that asked him to obtain the identification and social security numbers.
His name is Aristotle. Aristotle?
He tells detectives the man's name is Aristotle Marr.
We then thought that it's very possible that Aristotle Marr is the person we're looking for, because he was obviously looking for a way to launder money in the hopes of getting legitimate funds in return.
Investigators are convinced they're on the right track when the middleman tells investigators that Marr owns a towing service. Police conduct a background check. DMV records reveal that there is a tow truck registered to Marr, and that it matches the one described by Del Fiero's neighbor. Investigators return to Del Fiero's home to ask his old roommate if she knows Aristotle Marr. She says Marr and Del Fiero had been friends since childhood.
So now his name has come up in two different sources or two different ways during the investigation. So now we started to focus on Aristotle Marr as being the second suspect involved in the bank robbery.
Authorities check Marr's police record. It's clean, except for one assault charge he received as a minor. Tax records show Marr runs a successful towing business and already owns property worth $400,000. Police are surprised to learn he was a star athlete in high school, graduating 6 years earlier with a 4.0 grade point average.
The first thing everybody said about him was how smart he was. And you could see he had a lot of potential in life, but was impatient enough. And I think that that fed directly into the greed that motivated these crimes.
Steve Fogg subpoenas the cell phone records of Marr and Del Fiero. He discovers calls made between the two suspects prior to the robbery. Circumstantial evidence that they were possibly in the planning stages.
Danny Del Fiero and Aristotle Marr were talking, 10 times an hour in the days and weeks that preceded this.
Police then ask witnesses to confirm Marr's identity. To do this, they create a photo montage.
Typically, what happens is you have 6 photos, and the person who's the suspect is one of the 6. Here, the police put together a 12-person montage. They really went the extra mile just to make absolutely certain that we had the right guy.
Authorities show the photo montage to the woman who was assaulted and held hostage in her home.
And she didn't have any hesitation at all. She picked out Mr. Marr immediately.
Later, her husband and the carjacking victim would also pick out Marr as their attacker.
So with that, taken together with all the circumstantial evidence, we were quite confident that Aristotle Marr was the guy we were looking for.
Let's go.
Authorities secure an arrest warrant for Marr and a search warrant for his home. Knowing Marr's volatile tendencies, police prepare for what could be a violent confrontation. On June 22, 2000, a pair of alleged serial bank robbers hit another Seattle bank. During a shootout with police, one bandit is killed, and the other escapes. The dead robber is Daniel Del Fiero. Authorities believe the fugitive is Aristotle Marr. Fearing a violent confrontation, police prepare to serve arrest and search warrants with the help of a tactical unit. With the team are homicide detectives Paul Seguro and David Ritter.
When we went to the residence, we had members of the SWAT team, multiple Seattle police units to assist us in securing the premise.
Room by room, SWAT searches the house. They find no sign of Marr. Homicide detective Paul Segura.
Once the home is secured, myself and the rest of the homicide unit went in and started searching through the home.
Something real quick.
They look for any evidence that can tie Marr to the robbery or provide a clue to his whereabouts. In a hidden storage area, they find remnants of an arsenal.
Look at that. There it is. Look at that.
Detectives recover empty containers for various types of handguns.
I can reach for that second.
Although they do find a few weapons, most of the guns are gone.
There was different types of ammunition for long guns, shotguns. There was ammunition for handguns.
Detectives begin looking at the bullets more closely and uncover an important piece of evidence.
We found ammunition that matched ammunition that we found at the scene of the bank robbery.
Authorities also discover another lead. Documents that show frequent travel to and from Jamaica by Marr and several associates.
Also, there was small photographs and templates for the making of what appeared to be false identification.
Investigators suspect that Marr may have plans to flee the country under a false name. During the search at Marr's home, authorities discover a second house on the property.
Excuse me, Bob. We need that house cleared over there.
Agents immediately file a search warrant for the place and set up surveillance while they wait for the warrant to be processed. For a week, authorities watch people come and go, but see no sign of the robbery suspect. When a judge finally issues the warrant, SWAT goes in. What they find spins the investigation in another direction. The building is a storage unit for stolen goods.
We found numerous boxes, brand new appliances, riding lawnmowers that were brand new, refrigerators, numerous cellular phones, and just all kinds of items that were still intact, brand new, still in the box.
Investigators find packing lists still attached to the items, indicating they came from local home improvement stores.
It was obvious to us that Aristotle Marr was involved in a bigger criminal enterprise than just bank robberies.
The items were large. There were appliances. There were pallets of windows. Big things, stuff that somebody doesn't go in and shoplift. I mean, these were big items and showed that there had to be some pretty sophisticated means to obtain this property. It was obvious that we needed help from our burglary and theft people. They coordinated the recovery of the property.
The Burglary and Theft Division worked with representatives from the local stores to identify more than $100,000 worth of stolen goods.
Representatives provided a big, large moving van, and all the items that were identified as being stolen or suspicious were then loaded in the back of the moving van and taken off property.
Investigators suspect that Marr must have had help obtaining and selling the items.
We believe a lot of the stolen property was sent to Jamaica. There just was some indication, some receipts, shipping receipts, etc., that showed a large amount of household goods going to Jamaica.
Authorities intensify their search for the alleged crime ringleader, Aristotle Marr. The Seattle FBI's Fugitive Task Force takes the lead. Special Agent Gary Shainline.
Well, we started with the fundamentals by contacting his family and associates in the hopes of finding that person that could give us the information that would lead to a safe and swift apprehension.
But every person agents interview claims no knowledge of Marr's whereabouts. Within weeks, the search for Marr begins to take its toll on the fugitive. In an unexpected, bold move, a group of Marr supporters, including his lawyer, holds a press conference proclaiming his innocence. They charge police have falsely accused him because of his association with Daniel Del Fierro. Agents speak with lawyers about arranging surrender, but instead hear a preposterous claim.
We tried to have him turn himself in a safe manner, in a controlled environment, and they said that he was, afraid that he was going to be, killed by the local police.
Marr remains a fugitive. The FBI takes a new approach. They seek the help of a national television crime show, advertising a $25,000 reward for information leading to Marr's arrest. The tips pour in. One caller claims he's been in contact with Marr through a popular web-based instant messaging system. Agents subpoena the internet provider for details on the instant messaging account and receive transcripts of the online conversations.
Through the content of the dialogue on the instant messaging communication, it was logical to believe that one of the participants was Aristotle Marr.
The company provides agents with the address of the computer used.
We approached it with the belief that it was possible that Marr could be there at that time.
Open up.
Armed with a search warrant, they confront a man who they recognize as a known associate of Marr.
Sure?
Yeah, I'm sure, sir.
He says Marr isn't there.
No?
Agents conduct a thorough search for any evidence that could prove the fugitive had been in the apartment, but they find nothing. Agents confiscate the computer in question. They eventually determined that Marr had probably never used the computer, that it had been the associate pretending to be Marr on the instant messaging system. The investigators' latest lead is a dead end.
That search really didn't glean any further information regarding Aristotle's whereabouts.
The FBI continues surveillance at the houses of family and friends, but soon realize Marr may never return.
Unlike your garden variety bank robber, Aristotle Marr did have some financial means. He had owned property at a rental house, and I'm sure that those assets and those means, helped him in his fugitive status.
An informant calls the FBI with a tip that appears to support what agents already fear.
A confidential source indicated that he had fled under an alias, that he had not just crossed the state line, but actually had fled the country, and that he had fled to Jamaica.
If Marr has indeed left the country under another name, he might be impossible to find. The FBI is now facing their toughest obstacle in a case that appears impossible to crack. The FBI continues to hunt for bank robbery suspect Aristotle Marr. They believe he fled to Jamaica under an assumed name. But the FBI cannot simply go after him, according to Special Agent Gary Shainline.
We don't have any police authority in other countries, so there are FBI representatives and there's U.S. Marshals in Jamaica that liaise with Jamaican authorities, and I was providing them with all the information that we were gleaning from our investigation here, giving them names and points of contact, possible locations that were worthy of investigation in Jamaica in the pursuit of Marr.
Investigating Marr's whereabouts in Jamaica is difficult. He's well connected on the island and has a lot of money to help him disappear.
We're confident that through those resources that he was able to maintain a low profile and have different places to go to hide himself.
Informants report occasional sightings of the fugitive, but he eludes capture. Agents believe he is moving from house to house under cover of night, supported by a loyal group of associates. Following the leads from agents in the United States, authorities in Jamaica relentlessly pursue the fugitive. They contact every known associate of Aristotle Marr. They are uncooperative, but authorities keep them under surveillance.
It's Aristotle Marr.
Marshals were watching everything they did down in Jamaica. They made it very clear that they were not going to go away until Mr. Marr returned to the United States and answered to these charges.
In Seattle, King County Deputy Prosecutor Steve Fogg decides to file several charges against the fugitive, based on the abundance of circumstantial evidence already in hand.
We charged him with an array of counts that reflected the full nature of this crime spree. We charged him with robbery in the first degree with the firearm enhancement because he was armed when that happened. We charged him as an accomplice with Danny Del Fiero to the shooting of Officer Buxton. We charged him with attempt robbery too, which is a formal way of saying attempted carjacking. And then kidnappings because they were essentially kidnapped and held hostage in their own basement.
Steve Fogg also suspects Marr is involved in an international theft ring, but decides not to press charges.
Mr. Marr was already looking at so much time that the amount of additional time that would be added by this theft ring would be negligible. I mean, you're talking about a year or two on a guy who's looking at, 30, 40, 50 years in prison. So we did not charge Mr. Marr for that.
Authorities intensify their search for Marr. Seattle homicide detective David Ritter.
We kept the pressure up.
Give me a break, please.
I mean, they felt our presence. They made several complaints that we were harassing them, but we weren't. We were conducting an investigation of a very violent crime, and we wanted to solve it. We wanted him in custody. It got the whole situation probably too hot for him. He wasn't having much fun anymore.
After 7 months, the constant pressure pays off. On February 7th, 2001, Aristotle Marr shocks police, walking into the King County Jail with his lawyer.
Just go up to the counter, put your hands where I can see them.
Seattle Police Detective Paul Seguro had chased Marr from the beginning.
Sergeant Christopher, this is Tebow down at the watch desk. Aristotle Marr just turned himself in.
I was surprised that Aristotle Marr had actually took it upon himself to turn himself in. We tried to talk to Aristotle Marr, interview him about the robberies, where he'd been. He did not wish to talk about any aspects of the investigation at all.
Authorities believe he has come back to take the pressure off his associates, and because he is sure the charges will never stick.
He was quite confident, in fact, probably cocky, that this would be a case that he could beat in court. He could come back, beat this case, and kill two birds with one stone.
At his arraignment, Marr pleads not guilty to all charges.
One advantage that Mr. Marr had by fleeing was he could sit back and watch our case develop, and I had no doubt that he'd have an explanation for all the evidence, and we would have a real fight on our hands at trial.
Marr's defense team knows that lab examiners have found his fingerprints on items dropped outside the bank, including the motorcycle helmet and a pair of gloves. They explain the prints by claiming Marr lent the items to Daniel Del Fiero, the suspect killed in the shootout.
What Mr. Marr didn't know about, but we of course knew about, was this blood trail that had been left. I knew that the next step was to get an immediate sample of his blood, and I knew that that would definitely be the silver bullet if we were able to develop DNA information from the blood trail that was left.
A judge orders Marr to submit the samples, which DNA experts compare to blood found at the apartment complex and inside the kidnapped couple's house and truck. The examiner reports a match.
At that point, any concern we had about the outcome of that case definitely lifted, because it was clear that, taken together with all the other evidence that we already had, that this was a rock-solid case.
Marr decides not to risk a jury trial and changes his plea to guilty. He is sentenced to 23 years in prison with no chance of parole. Seattle police officer Wesley Buxton, shot during his confrontation with Marr and Del Fiero, is relieved that Marr finally got what he deserved.
I'm probably your typical police officer that feels that criminals should get much more than they actually get as far as the demands of justice. But I was fairly satisfied with the sentence.
Special Agent Mike Adams.
Given the high number of bank robberies we have every year, on average, well over 300 bank robberies here in the state of Washington, it's a good feeling when we can bring about, or at least help bring about, a successful conclusion to such a high-profile bank robbery investigation.
In the end, it was the combined efforts of the Seattle Police Department and the FBI that finally put Aristotle Marr out of business.